Welcome to Squirt's Technical Support Guide. In this guide we will explain how to make the most out of the first 5 minutes of your games as a support so that the next 15 minutes give you the best chance of snowballing into a win. Let's get started. Knowledge is power. Some preemptive research before ranked matchmaking can greatly increase your effective decision-making skills in the pick and strategy phase of the game. Banning a hero that is annoying to deal with is the first step to relieving some of the pressure. I tend to ban heroes that empower enemy cores more than my hero can. Hit and run heroes like Mirana and Techies make laning very difficult with their powerful harass and escape. If you don't want to pick the most meta hero this week, ban it. Picking a support first is considered a handicap since the enemy cores will likely pick heroes that are effective against you, making your job as that hero much more difficult. These unfavorable matchups can be remedied by suggesting picks for your cores that synergize well with your hero, exponentially upgrading your effectiveness. When you pick your support, you can suggest up to 4 heroes for your lane partner to pick. These suggestions should be cores that synergize well with your hero. In the safe lane I suggest heroes that become self-sufficient when they reach level 6 such as Slark, Wraith King, Terrorblade and Monkey King. This will allow you to roam the map and fulfill other objectives earlier. Sometimes, heroes will even talk to each other in-game, which is a feature of the game that shows hero synergy can be very rewarding.
Warlock, I know your demon well.
It is no guarantee that these suggestions will be picked, but it is a good practice to establish a connection with your core and build trust to utilize your hero synergy together. In Dota 2 it is a good practice to break the game down into 5-minute intervals. Every 5 minutes starting from the horn, bounty runes will spawn and supports should contest these runes if possible. The two most important factors to consider if you can contest the rune are movement speed and disable. If you have more disable and movement speed than the enemy, contesting the rune is a good idea. You do not want to contest the rune if you will die, as the experience boost to the enemy will make the game much harder. In the first lane creep wave, blocking creeps is a good way to keep the wave closer to the safety of your tower. If you are a safe lane support, do not begin to block the creeps until they are past the small camp. As of 7.28 the creeps naturally meet closer to the safe lane towers, so blocking too much too early will cause the wave to go under tower, which will make farming for your level 1 item deprived carry extremely difficult, as well as shove the wave further toward the enemy since their creeps will die much faster. The most effective but difficult practice is blocking the creeps so that the ranged creep will walk in front of the melee creeps, which will make it the first unit the enemy creeps attack, making it easier to deny and cause the enemy ranged creep to push the wave towards your tower. When blocking creeps, walk back and forth across the 2 leading melee creeps in the wave, using a brief stop command to force them to stop moving before moving in front of the other creep. For the first 3 waves you will need to utilize your spells and attacks to inflict as much damage to the enemy while stopping them from dealing damage to you. The exchange of damage and effects between heroes is called a trade, and the heroes that get more last hits, secured or denied ranged creeps, have more health, and more available spells have accomplished a favorable trade. Notice your hero's health and mana regen per second, multiply that value by 30, and you will have the amount of health mana you will recover by the time the next wave meets in lane. Use this to plan if you will have enough health or mana by the time you will need to trade again and if you can effectively accomplish a favorable trade. Securing the majority of ranged creeps in these first 3 waves is the most important objective, as it will grant you and your core more experience to reach your power spikes in lane sooner. After the first 3 waves you should choose whether to stack or pull. First you must consider the enemy lane and if they can kill your core if you leave them alone. If you are closer to your tower, stacking is a good option since it will allow your core to get solo experience and make pulling later waves much more reliable. If you are further away from your tower, then pulling is a good option, but requires a bit of finesse. If you pull the entire creep wave into a single small camp, those 4 creeps will have more health and damage than the jungle creeps, which means they will likely not die even if you attempt to deny. And they will return to lane as easy targets for the enemy core to farm. It also means that the next wave of creeps will merge with the remnants of the pulled wave, forming a double wave, which does much more damage to enemy creeps and makes farming for your core more difficult, and ultimately pushing the wave further from your tower, defeating the purpose of pulling. The advanced technique to get the most out of pulling into a single small camp is to only pull 2 to 3 of your lane creeps by having the jungle creeps attack you when you are only within aggro range. of 2 to 3 of your lane creeps. This will allow one melee creep to meet the enemy wave while the jungle creeps fight the remainder of lane creeps, making it much easier for you to deny them and last hit the jungle creeps. One thing to consider when stacking and pulling is the movement speed of the enemy offlaners. If they started the game with boots of speed, their goal is to outmaneuver you, so you cannot accomplish a pull early on by being in the camp's aggro range before or while you stack or pull. If this happens, you are usually out of luck since their high movement speed makes them impossible to gank, despite being overextended. You will need to upgrade your boots as soon as possible to punish their positioning and resume stacking and pulling. When harassing the enemy offlaners with attack commands, it is important to be aware of the concept of creep aggro. NPCs issue attack commands to whatever unit issues an attack command to them or to a hero within their aggro range, or whatever unit is closest. If you attack an enemy hero while standing within aggro range of a creep, enemy or neutral, then those creeps will attack you. If you aggro enemy creeps from the lane, they will stop attacking your lane creeps, which means your creeps will have more health than the enemy creeps and will ultimately push the wave if your aggro prevents your creep wave from dying. To summarize, in the first half of the first 5 minutes you want to secure enemy ranged creeps and deny your own to acquire experience for your core and yourself while preventing the enemy from leveling up to establish lane dominance. In the second half of the first 5 minutes, you want to utilize stacking and pulling to deny the enemy as many creeps as possible and pull the creep equilibrium closer to your tower without going under tower. Accomplish favorable trades by damaging the enemy heroes without drawing creep aggro, then contesting the runes if it is possible. In the second 5-minute interval of the game, if you've done your job correctly, your cores should be reaching their first power spike at level 6 and you have the option to retreat and stack camps for them to farm so they can acquire more solo experience and farm your stacks more efficiently, or coordinate a gank with your mid laner. Note that when coordinating ganks, you want the hero who left their lane to gank to receive credit for the hero kill since they lost experience to help you. Just before the 10-minute mark you'll want to add the Tome of Experience to your quick buy and purchase it as soon as it is available. All that time spent out of lane giving your core solo experience and denying the enemy by stacking and pulling entitles you to buy this item to gain access to your ultimate and reach your level 6 power spike. If you cannot contest the rune, stacking 2 camps close to your base and couriering the tome to yourself is a very efficient use of time since your core will gain more from farming 2 stacks and ganking with your ultimate ability than contesting the runes. Thank you for watching this technical guide to supporting. This guide was meant to be short and quick. It does not cover everything, so I strongly suggest watching YouTube guides from BSJ and Jenkins to further your supporting education. Good luck, have fun.